Hello there.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the stream.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else I should know about the game before I get started?
Sorry, 1 second. Let me just mute the stream. There we go.
Oh yeah, good call.
Sorry, you asked a question.
Yes, just anything else I should know about the game before I get started?
Um, Not really. Me and my friend Rezel made this. I've done a few game jams in the past, and Rezel hasn't, and he was interested in trying one. He said that he had no skill in anything, and
Mhm.
he did the art, and his girlfriend did the sound. And yeah, I'm not saying that there's amazing game design in it, but I am saying that we enjoyed making it. So.
Excellent. Okay, so oh, here we've got our little butterfly here. So how do we actually do? I just press one? How do I actually begin the game?
The arrows on the side of the screen
Oh,
suggest that you move left and right with your
oh,
butterfly.
oh, okay. All right. So you actually move. You don't have to click. Okay, okay, okay. Got it, got it.
So you got spacebar, you got WASD, and all that good stuff.
Time stability restored, critical events resolved, timeline saved. Okay, okay.
Okay, so for some reason, and I've not been
Hmm.
able to identify, there is a bug there that every so often the first one you run, you get a free win basically. So now you've enjoyed the game loop of winning, you get to restart and play it properly.
I see. Oh, nice. So we're actually like going back through time and looking for specific issues. Oh, I see. We're supposed to deliberately correct. There we go. So we're flapping through time, looking for the little um, red exclamation marks. And
I'd
oh
be
no, I
very
was
impressed if
lying.
you can do this whilst engaging in conversation.
I've got some practice at it right now, but as long as I like, okay, so the longer I go without fixing the issue, I've got the bar filling up at the bottom of the screen.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. C two. No. Okay. So C two B one. Okay, that's fixed. But yeah, so why don't you talk a little bit more about the inspiration behind the game while I continue to play through here?
Um, so through the going through the initial ideas and planning of the game and just trying to riff off the word stable.
Hmm.
And we initially came up with this with radiation and
Hmm.
instability there. And then we came across time. And early on, we got to the name the butterfly defect, and from that point onwards, there was no convincing Rezel that was going to make anything other than something called the butterfly defect.
Hmm.
Um, and we wanted something that we try and get some kind of equality in the art that was required, in the code that was required, um, and uh, and yeah, this was created. Originally, there was going to be more time zones. I'm
Hmm.
actually quite happy that there aren't. I think there's enough there to keep you engaged. Initially, you were going to press a key to change between the time zones, and it seems so obvious now that you can fly between them. But
Hmm.
it was halfway through the jam when it just screamed at us that you should obviously be able to fly between the time zones. Um, yeah.
Nice. So, do you want to talk a little bit about what some of the other like ideas were, or are you still planning to add any of those to the game?
So something that, what I really wanted was um, so obviously some in the past, some in the future. But
Hmm.
so the idea is that you're fixing time
Hmm.
to be the reality that we're in now. Um, and we had these ideas of fixing events that we don't know about
Hmm.
because they've been undone, right? So we wanted one that was in the far future that you've got some. The idea was on our Trello was spider mech overlords that were in a big city that you had to sort of destroy and keep at bay. And another idea was something that was supposed to be trivial, so something like your toast falling but a side up instead of down. So you'd rotate this piece of toast in the background, with the two ideas that I was sad not to see in there.
Hmm.
Uh, there's some interesting things that when we found out that Stonehenge and the Sphinx were so close together, that was a little bit annoying.
Hmm.
But yeah, by that point the art was done. So yeah, um, yeah. And in fact, the whole gameplay loop of that time bar was rather late in development,
Hmm.
um, because from the start we didn't want an endless game, because the
Right.
balance of that is just impossible. Trying to get it so that it's fair for less skilled players and a
Hmm.
challenge for those harder. And this idea of trying to get to zero, but also there are more difficulties in the game and trying to survive as long as possible. I feel like we've got a good middle ground there.
So
So
is
like,
the game actually supposed to like end at a certain point?
if you get that timeline down,
Oh
at a
wow.
certain point, it is beneficial just to give up on a run, I guess. But if you've got, as you clear things, you gain that bar goes down,
Hmm.
and if you've cleared everything, it will tick down over time. And the difficulties are just changing the timings of when that happens and the values you get for being rewarded.
Wow.
Um, and so
It's it actually
yeah,
seems like pretty tricky to keep it down for long enough before there's an instability.
yeah. Well, really, it's so out of 100%, it starts at 25%. So
Hmm.
now, if you wanted to win,
Hmm.
the the logical thing to do is to restart. If you want to go for surviving longest, then obviously you'd keep going. But yeah,
So is it just that the timeline, like the bar, fills up more over time, like faster over time?
um, it ticks up uh, a certain amount based on how many red exclamation points you've got.
Right. Okay. Um, well, I sort of like inadvertently got the win screen at the very beginning, so I knew it was supposed to be possible to win, but okay. That's 1945 one is really tough. What event is that supposed to be?
That's Alan Turing and the Turing machines,
Okay.
and him turning the dials to match it. Yeah, that one definitely is the toughest. Although personally, I find the moon one tough. Um, Originally, the placeholders had colours on those
Hmm.
pickups, and playing it without was tricky.
Hmm.
We toyed with an idea of having it so that the clockwise one was always on the right and the anti-clockwise one was always on the left, but then
Hmm.
sent it to some friends and they said it was too easy now.
Hmm.
Um, so once you've locked in the first one and you focus on what you need to get, and there you go. Nice.
Yeah. Okay. I guess the whole thing about the timeline, um like it becomes a little too difficult to like keep it fixed after a certain point. Like I think you do want a little bit of variety with people going back and forth and maybe doing ones they've already done for like harder versions of those things, but then it just sort of spirals out of control and you don't have the like sometimes the Sphinx one is really different. I haven't noticed why that is.
The Sphinx when you're breaking its nose, and that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the. If you could update it, would make the Sphinx larger and more obvious that you're breaking its nose.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes there's stages to how broken the nose is, and you have to wait time to break it again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the two clocks that appear.
Okay.
Um, but the idea is that the ones in the future just break, and you have to complete them the same each time. It's just
Mm-hmm.
random where the moon's pointing, where the rocket's pointing. Where the ones
Mm-hmm.
in the past have stages to them, so the Stonehenge can be completely broken, or it's got 5 stages to it. Um, yeah,
Right. So like I feel like now I'm in a run where I'm not sure if it's possible for me to hit zero, or I should just be starting again. I guess I'm just saying that like it feels like something can go out of control and then be so far out of control that like I don't know, like would you consider changing it to a version where it's possible to like rein things in and you don't just have to like give up and restart?
Yes, well, initially the idea was that we'd have, um, well, I suppose it's more difficulty levels, but a kind of quote unquote campaign that
Hmm.
you got used to each of the time zones first, and you built a bit of confidence with them, and then the difficulty was sort of slowly increased so that people could definitely feel success. Um, as I say, I've done game jam games before, and the
Hmm.
idea is that you're supposed to make difficulty one, uh, somewhat achievable.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that was a concern from the start. As I say, it was late in the weekend when we got the difficulty curve down. Um, and yeah, I definitely think there's tweak in there for that first difficulty.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but then there's also the idea of we've sort of done, well, not the worst of all worlds, but a mix of endless meets, a success state. The idea being that if you wanted to go for uh, time taken being the longest, there might be a time where you want to not solve something because you're not, you don't want to hit zero. And yeah,
I just tried out bonus flat mode.
are you hearing that now?
Yes.
Yeah, epic bonus content there.
That's fun. Is it just adding the audio clip every time you flap?
Yeah, well, that was the original flap as a placeholder. Um,
Got it.
which
Um,
you can tell because it's not the best quality flap either. It's just the first take.
yeah, yeah, just meant to be a placeholder. Um, yeah, so I think that what I'm sort of feeling is the lack of a swing, like the ability to make it so that like maybe you get kind of near to the bar filling up, but then if you execute on stuff really well, then you can drive it back down significantly and actually win rather than the run just sort of
More
being
of a tug of
lost.
war than it just
Yeah,
beating you. Yeah,
exactly.
we had an idea that in the void there might be every so often a choice of pickup that you could
Hmm.
gain that would benefit you in some way, and there was just a choice of two. Um, obviously that didn't make it in,
Hmm.
but that was an idea. But yeah, I totally get that. Uh, realistically, if you're going for a win, that most runs you should just quit out of and press that R key sooner
Hmm.
rather than later.
How far beneath the screen is the butterfly staying?
Not too far below.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think you just make it with one jump
Hmm.
so that you know that you're there. Um, originally, at one point, there was, there was going to be the pickup still on the screen. So, for example, the moon level, you'd have to
Hmm.
go through the moon level without touching the pickups in order to avoid messing with the timeline again. But
Hmm.
yeah, we decided that's another level of sort of avoiding things.
Hmm. Yeah, so and then playing on the harder difficulties, is that just increasing the rate at which the bar fills?
Um, it is decreasing the time for newer timelines to be messed with and broken.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, the difficulty selection turns out to be not too many values changing.
Hmm.
Um, I can look it up and see because it was an entire week ago. Crikey me. Um, so yeah, on difficulty one it's 8 seconds,
Hmm.
and then the other difficulties it's 5 seconds. Um, and one and two, you get double the amount of stability back when you claim something compared
Hmm.
to difficulty three, and you get one back. And yeah, difficulty three is difficult. Uh, Rezel and I have only completed it a couple of times between us, but
Hmm.
the idea of friends wanting to just keep going and pushing through that, they enjoyed that, so that's why difficulty three was in there.
Yeah, I'm trying out sound difficulty 2 just now, and you can already see this is ramping up pretty significantly. Maybe. Oh, I just cleared the Stonehenge. Hey, I did it.
Oh, that Sphinx nose break was clutch.
The fact that yeah, I was lucky as to which event ended up triggering.
But you get rewarded more for the future events, the
Hmm.
whole completion, than you do for the individual stages. Um,
I see. Yeah, and that makes sense though because those future events are much more difficult.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, okay, no, I appreciate the balance there. Um, yeah, I guess the sort of core mechanic of the butterfly flying around is a little difficult to get control over, but not
Mm.
frustratingly so. It's just you got to be precise. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think like so. What other sorts of how's the feedback been for the project so far?
Um, well, from people that are used to from people that are willing to push through.
Hmm.
I've sent it to a couple of Twitch streamers that are speedrunners, and they seem to obviously have more a higher frustration
Mm.
level, and they seem to enjoy it and enjoy that difficulty two at least challenge. Um, uh, there are things of I wish you could have a tutorial in the idea that the butterfly just drops as soon as you play is
Mhm.
not something that's too appealing to new players, and then having to just figure out yourself how to bounce around. I'm glad that I've got that shadow effect on for the first image you see on the page, so that you can
Mhm.
kind of understand the mechanics there. Um, but yeah, but overall, with with friends and family,
Mhm.
they get used to it. They've enjoyed the challenge of it. It's something different than I've made before. Um, it's I try and avoid platformers for game jams, and this is just close enough to a platformer, but not really.
Mhm.
Not having to check if your character is grounded is amazing.
Yeah. So I guess if you had the opportunity to change the main menu system here, what sort of changes would you make to the game and the menu, the game, like?
Well, I do really like that the main menu is devoid.
Mhm.
There's something really, and people have commented on that. It's really satisfying to first see, oh, this is the game. I'm in the game, and there's not. You don't have to use the mouse at all if you don't want
Mhm.
to. There's no button to press to click on and things like that. Um, Originally, there's going to be a tutorial in this screen that you had to fly into a pickup to then get to the next bit of information, and then you'd go through some kind of mini tutorial. Um, but yeah, if there was just pickups for difficulty one, two, and three, I think that'd be cool.
'Cause I do think that like it might have been the one thing that I didn't pick up on was the fact like what could help is if on this screen like once you start moving um the text just sort of fades away.
Yep,
Um, like, 'cause if I come back here now, like everything is gone from there.
yep,
Like keep the controls information on screen until people like sort of get a handle on things, and then maybe have the arrows on the side of the screen sort of like animate and indicate like, oh,
absolutely.
start
Yep,
moving this way, start moving that way. Uh, that could just sort of help draw people's attention to what they're supposed to do.
absolutely. Yep.
But you'd see from other projects that I've made, I'm also quite a fan of having um, games where you sort of get into the play of it immediately, or that the title screen is immediately like the play space as well. So here's a game I've made where this is technically the title screen, but you've already got control of the character and you can jump around and
Yep.
do stuff. So yeah, I definitely think that that's a oh did I? Oh, right. So I was playing the downloaded version here. Um, so you can click to move the butterfly, but then how do you actually control it?
So you move with WASD or arrow keys or controller, and you can just optionally click. Um, if that's how you want to flap. And actually, I've played that, and I think I might prefer that way. That you've got your right hand on the mouse and you got your left hand on WASD, and you just click when you want to. Spacebar can be a bit large and the amount of times you're pressing it in a game
Hmm.
can be a lot. So yeah,
Yeah.
click I think can be a preferred way of doing it.
Yeah. Curious to see like if there's some way you could make it so you also like the butterfly moves towards the position of the mouse each time you click, like gives it a sort of
Yeah,
directional impulse.
we spent a good 2 hours on the. We had this movement and we decided
Hmm.
what else could we do, and we had this. Uh, the previous guy had a degree in computer science. I've got a degree in maths, so it was a nice 2 hour detour of polynomials and what we could do with the mouse. And
Hmm.
the issue was that we came to this idea that if we weren't careful, it would boil down to click the pickup and then keep clicking the pickup, and then you'd get
Hmm.
there. There was no real thought into that. Then we knew that speed was going to be important, and we
Hmm.
thought the more complicated you make the movement, that's hard to balance.
Got
So
it.
we kept it as it is, and
Hmm.
uh, yeah, it definitely highlights the idea that um, the developers are going to be the best at the game,
Hmm.
and we're just so comfortable with the movement. Um, they say with any work that you should take a break from it and come back to it, or change something slightly and then come back to it.
Yeah,
That's
of
definitely true.
course.
Definitely true. That uh, yeah, I like how the butterfly moves around, but I can understand that that's because I've grown to like it over an intense 72 hours.
Yeah, of course. Um, so this being made Godot, do you have um useful shortcuts or a clever hack that you could recommend to others?
With Godot, um, uh, there's a plugin that's Godot Macros
Hmm.
that is amazing for game jams and speed and getting used to your own custom macros. Um, no, it's just making sure that you understand signals. If you're going to
Hmm.
use Godot without signals, then you're missing a massive trick.
Yeah.
And making sure that things are talking to each other in a sensible way, the code's talking to each other. Um,
So are signals sort of like an event system?
yeah, yeah. Um, but a signal is a script shouting, and then you
Hmm.
can, yeah. So yeah, you subscribe to the event, but yeah, you listen to the signal.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, super,
and
super handy.
yeah, it's really nice decoupling and all that kind of jazz. Makes it really easy to do that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there's lots of helpful things with Godot. I mean, especially UI. There's
Hmm.
loads of UI stuff that makes it really easy for you, but yeah, it's not something that I've delved into too much.
Hmm. All right. Well, how about do you have any plans to continue development on the butterfly defect?
Not on the butterfly effect now. I'm quite happy with where it is and the experience with my friend. It's the first time that I've worked. Um, well, yeah, first time Res was on one, and the first time I properly worked with another person. And each game jam, I'm trying to do something a little bit different and have a reason for doing it. And this
Yeah,
one was
absolutely.
was that the management of two. Um, and yeah, I'm happy with how that went.
What was
So
the sorry, go ahead.
no, happy with how it turned out. I think Res was
Hmm.
happy with how it turned out, and our organisation along the way. Yeah, we had fun.
Good. What was the art made in, by the way?
Do you really? Oh, what an interesting question you ask. Would you like to guess what the art's made in?
There's a lot of tools out there, but I mean, what is it made in like Paint.net or something?
Uh, so it's, it's initially made in PowerPoint, and we got a cool workflow with PowerPoint, and then putting it into GIMP with a filter, watercolor filter, and yeah, if you go to them Stonehenges and just look at those rectangles, wobbly
Uh,
rectangles, you might get some PowerPoint vibes.
I did not know PowerPoint could do wobbly rectangles like that.
Yeah. Well, as I said, Rezol joined and he said, he doesn't know what he's going to do. This all started from a couple of weeks ago. I did the Vimlark jam, and
Hmm.
I gave him a build of that game and streamed it to him, and he was really helpful and just having someone to talk to and talk about things. And we said, oh, we'll do that for the next one. And he said he actually
Hmm.
wanted to do something, so we said art. And he had no idea, and he's looking at Sprite and he's looking
Hmm.
at Inkscape and all this kind of stuff. And he just started making mock-ups in PowerPoint. I was like, oh, if we you're comfortable with this. If we could make that into the actual art, if you could hide the fact that it was PowerPoint, that'd be really cool. And yeah, there was more planned in terms of like the moon. We were going to have
Mhm.
stars in the background going around, and something that was a bit more lively with the background. But I love that the art's PowerPoint. I think that's really cool and cute. And yeah, if Steve 7411 doesn't tell the cops, we'll get away with it. And yeah,
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Well, where can people find you on social media? Do you have any other projects you'd like to plug?
I'd just like to plug my itch page,
Uh-huh.
mallardbro.itch.io. There's a few games on there that were made for the Tri Jam, 3-hour game jam,
Mhm.
that I'm quite happy with. Um, um, yeah, Boss Battle UI is the one that I made for the Vim Jam, so that was a weekend thing. And the other ones, yeah, uh, I really go for the experience of making them and making something that I want to make, and then I think about the game jam second, really. So if you look at my previous games, they've not got massive wide appeal. So I've got some coding games in there. I've got some
Mhm.
uh, niche maths games, I would say. Um, and then Boss Battle UI was the first time I thought, I'm going to make a platformer. Let's actually do it. Get it out of the way. Stop
Sure.
avoiding that. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing the project and for joining me on this conversation. This has been a lot of fun. And I'd love to see any other projects you make in the future. So please feel free to send them my way.
I'm sure I will. Thank you very much.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.